I have 5 things that I really quickly want to get into you and tell you right now that really altered and have impacted the way that I was going to record this video initially. This is my second attempt trying to record this video. I will keep that in full transparency. That's why I'm a little bit more animated than I would be in going to start a video normally. Okay. First of all, if you do enjoy this video at literally any point of the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, I have to tell you to do this early in the video because if it doesn't come off early, I will literally forget it to the end of the video until I'm done recording or rambling or whatever the fuck I'm talking about. 2, history does not repeat, but it often rhymes, and this is not the first time we've seen these two teams in the finals. In fact, this is the last time that we've seen these two teams in the finals in general. For the New York Knicks, it was against the San Antonio Spurs with a 22-year-old superstar for the San Antonio Spurs that obviously went on to beat Tim Duncan, and we have Wembanyama right now. I'm already in the process right now, personally, of just moving Wemby higher and higher up in the upper echelons of all-time greats. Just beating the Thunder alone has already moved him up for me. I will be moving him into really, really disgusting and uncomfortable conversations when he wins the championship. I'm very confident in him winning the championship. And I've been a 7. And by the way, there has been a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game 7s in this playoff so far. We had 2 for round 1, Toronto Raptors, Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs had another Game 7 against Detroit. Detroit had their first Game 7 series against the Orlando Magic. And the Knicks had their own... The Knicks did not have... Sorry, my bad. The Celtics had their own 7-game series against the Philadelphia 76ers. And last night, the penultimate Game 7, because I don't anticipate there being another Game 7. There's been one for every round, but I would be really... surprising and shocking, because I think the other series that we see in the entire playoffs, I could usually reasonably predict them being 7, based on how shit went. But this is the difference one. All right. Yeah, there's not going to be a Game 7 in this final series. I'm going to be very blunt with you on my predictions for this series. I have the Spurs winning in 6. At most. At most. I honestly think the Spurs can reasonably get this done in 5. Okay. Let's talk about that. Okay, so first, I gotta do a little bit of nitpicking real quick. I wanted to make a Game 6 video. I'm going to tell you really quickly. I wanted to make a Game 6 video. It was going to be initially recorded the same day that this video is going up. But that would make no sense because Game 7 obviously happened yesterday. I did not know Game 7 was going to happen today. I thought it was going to happen not today. I didn't know it was going to happen yesterday on Saturday night. I thought it was going to be happening on Sunday night. And I also thought it made more sense for the media spirit and all that stuff. They did do the same amount of gaps that they normally did. I guess they didn't want New York waiting any longer than this. But I don't give a fuck about what New York wants. We're also gonna see this is another team that the Knicks have faced in the playoff run that has come off another 7-game series. And for New York Knicks fans, I'm gonna throw you a little bone. You have swept literally every single time after a team has come out of a 7-game series in 7 games. All right. The Sixers came out of their 7-game series, you swept them. The Cavs came out of their 7-game series, you swept them. I don't think you're doing that with the Spurs. But I will give you the benefit of the doubt. The trend holds up, and considering the historic run that you guys are on, very much so looking similar to a team that Mike Brown was a part of in previous years, and last team to repeat in literally 8 years that I've seriously been watching 8 years that I would say watching basketball at a level where so I can actually comment on the game and have a little bit of an opinion where so I'm not saying that I'm casual and actually watching it. I would say my more developed years of basketball watching it started in 2021. Obviously, after I graduated high school, there was more stuff to do. There was less stuff to do and less schoolwork to do, more basketball watching. Okay, cool, great, thanks. All right, let's talk about that. All right, let's talk Game 6. Up until that point in this series, I had seen mediocre games of Shea. I do not know what his final playoff series numbers look like. But from what I had seen up until this point, especially when I was considering this, in all of the games that happened post the Phoenix Suns series, Shea had been averaging up until that point 24 points per game. He had not wowed me with any spectacular games, and even when he had high point games, the averages still showed me, and this is not a small sample size either because they played a lot of games. They played a total of what? Why am I doing math really poorly right now? They had played 10 games. 10 games is not a small sample size in the postseason. You have to take 10-game sample size really importantly. It was 24 points on like 44% shooting. And that was with me adding the Lakers series in, and that actually boosted his numbers up until that point. Now, obviously, he had a great Game 7, but again, going into go after leaving Game 6, I was thinking to myself, I've not seen a Shea game this series. Shea is in the Wemby talks, and I know Wemby, and I will say this, I know Wemby has had a bad game 5. That was a really big point of the video I was talking about. He had a terrible game 5. And a lot of the things that I had been saying about this team seriously, and how the fact that the San Antonio Spurs can have a lot of confidence in themselves, we didn't get a game 5. I thought game 5 was a very pivotal game in the series, and the fact that the Spurs had, man, I know you're annoyed, but I'm as annoyed as you are. The Spurs had lost that game was very telling for me. I was sitting there in my head thinking, well, the Spurs losing this game is bad. If this is the roster and way it's going to work, and the base have shown up at this point, and literally every single win that the Thunder had, Jalen Williams had showed up. Chet had showed up in the game 5 and stuff. And I was sitting there like, they've unlocked something. This is it. This is the killing blow, basically. If San Antonio does not show me a dominant game 6 at home, they're screwed. It's over with. The series is done. This was a very pivotal moment at this point. I was literally sitting to myself, and I was saying they're such an annoying team, the hard physicality, and I was like trying to tell you and justify, yeah, the hard foul you saw at the end of the game, that was something, and it was a tone setter, and I understand why they did it, but also you can see like it kind of looked, people were like, oh, it was lame. I just, first of all, I don't think you guys are psychopaths about this shit as nearly as much as you need to be to really like cover this shit or like really like look at this stuff, because I think a lot of the guys who are at this level are just crazy about basketball, and Wemby showed that in the press conference. I was like, everything about it was so great. Like the way they reacted in winning the game 7 was just cathartic to watch. And also, the OKC just didn't look like they cared enough. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the entirety of the season, we were just giving Shea his flowers, and Aura Man, defending championships. They were just giving this man just so much. And the media, it was disgusting. Salt and pepper shaker for my viewers who are not watching, and for people who don't know what I'm talking about. But salt and pepper shaker. Man, they were just all over it. Giving it seasoning. Crazy, right? I couldn't imagine a team getting this much praise. And they were so nonchalant about everything. They were like, the way they talked and the attitude. Wemby is not that. Wemby is very chalant. He gives a fuck 24/7. He shows up every day. He gives us 100%, no matter win, lose, or draw. And even in his losses, he looks great. I'm not gonna lie, because the way he is as a person, the leader he is as a person, it looks great. I do want to give Wemby his flowers going into this finals, regardless of the result, because I mean, hey, if this is the first playoff run of Wemby, move over LeBron. Move over Michael Jordan. Move over Shaquille O'Neal. Move over all these all-time greats. Fuck. I was talking about Shea. We are going to get nasty. I might have him above Jokic off of this one playoff run alone. Oh my goodness. Like, the run that we saw Shea have, and yes, it was very impressive last year. Scoring title MVP. He's back-to-back MVP, by the way. It's nothing slight. No slight to Shea as Gilgeous Alexander at all. And also, it did show that this team really needed Jalen Williams, despite the fact that this team had been pretty much undefeated in games without Jalen Williams up until game. Jalen was actually played game 6. The news that Jalen Williams wasn't going to play and what's the name was weird. I think that they spent too much time focusing on if Jalen Williams is going to be ready for the game than actually practicing for the offensive needs that they needed. And I do want to say this. I think if Jalen Williams was fully 100% healthy, that they would change the series, but that's not the reality we live in, so I don't want to care that coping and stuff like that. And also, this is a team that had beaten them 4 out of the 5 times they played in the regular season, and also in a high leverage moment and high leverage games, and they also marked the calendar for each other. I don't think that's unprecedented, right? To say that the Spurs, that a lot of people had the Spurs winning the series regardless of that information. That did help. But I think that even when Jalen Williams was playing, despite playing during injury, his energy was more important for this team. That helped a lot. And not having that energy did hurt them. But to be fair, the offensive limitations that the Thunder had is really a problem. And it's something that I think that they will be looking to replace and figure out in the offseason. Obviously, you want to bank on health, but I don't know if you can. A hamstring injury for Jalen. Jalen Williams has had 2 injuries and 2 deep playoff runs at this point. The wrist and the hamstring. And he was nursing the hamstring and the wrist basically the entire season. Something to look up. Chet is also injury prone. Something to look through and think about. Chet had also disappeared in very high leverage moments. A lot of people had been pretending that the offensive polish that Wemby lacked is what Chet was. I do not want to hear anything about how transcendent Wemby is an offensive player ever again, because after this postseason run, we've seen the moments where the flashes and genius and stuff where he can. And also, the threes that he hit throughout this series, they were all big threes. And also, I would like to point out, he did not shy away from shooting them. And when he did shoot them, he wasn't being extra with them. They were given and they were open. And even the a couple of contested ones he made over the series, probably like 3, they were helpful. And they changed the entire momentum of the series. I think we already know which a couple of threes that I'm talking about. The fucking logo 3 in the first game was just monumental, let alone any of the other big threes he hit in Game 7 last night. And he had 5 fouls last night, so I don't want us to just pretend that Wemby was perfect. I do want to say this. I had been ragging on Champagnie the entirety of the series at this point. The entirety. I said Game 5, he finally shows up and they lose that game. That was strange. I was like, wow. If Champagnie's shooting well finally shoots well and that's the game they lose and it was a pivotal Game 5, I was kind of looking shaken about him. The team did not give up on him. They kept giving him shots, and he shot 6 for 10 last night. I need more consistency out of him, absolutely. But he shot 6 for 10 last night. I want to give him his flowers. They interviewed him for a reason. This was a very big come-out game for him, and that mattered a lot. A lot. The energy and stuff that we saw from Dylan Harper and the Slash brothers in general was important. Dylan Harper has been an amazing rookie so far, and he's probably the best rookie in that class so far. We can debate on him between him and Cooper Flagg, but to be honest, if we're debating on the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick, it feels like the draft has worked out just as intended. As far as drafting prospects goes. And then as far as another thing, let me tell you some basketball news. They changed the draft lottery format. I don't like it. There will be a full video. There probably will be a full video of me talking about it, but I hate it. I really do. It punishes teams for being bad, which you clue you in on a secret. The lottery was supposed to make it where as though teams wouldn't tank and they wouldn't suck on purpose so they could get generational players and move on. I think in an ideal world for the NBA, they would probably, in ideal world for the NBA, they would probably have the larger markets be good, right? Obviously, have the medium and still have the medium markets be just competitive. I don't think they realized that, and they tried to introduce Supermax to help the smaller market teams. It didn't really work out. They've tried a lot of things to help the smaller market teams. The only thing that can help them is drafting in front offices, and this does not help. This makes it even harder for them. I'm going to be honest. I don't like it. Especially because it penalizes them. And also the team that we're watching right now, the San Antonio Spurs, literally would not exist if this rule set was in place. They wouldn't have had a pick. They wouldn't have had Castle and Wemby and what's the name. Because if 3 straight years of having top five picks, that can't happen. Dylan Harper wouldn't be on this team. So there's that. And then as far as this doesn't address the problems that we were talking about with the rebuilding teams of teams just having hoarding draft picks. This does not fix the Sam Presti issue in the room. I don't think this fixes the thing. Teams that are bad at drafting are still going to suck. Because teams that are bad at drafting are also the teams that are bad at realizing their product and what to do with their free agency moves, and they don't have players and talents to get in. And those players and talents that they can't acquire is because they're on small market teams. Especially with the player empowerment, they can't stack the deck, right? It's going to be weird. And also, they're only doing this for gambling companies. So, that sucks. Did you hear about Chase Lowry's having to talk to them and talking about the moving, the Kalshi thing, and the flopping? I don't think Kalshi. I was thinking DraftKings, the amount of falls he would take. Weird. Really weird and disgusting behavior, to be quite honest. Yes, Shea does fall a lot. I think he flops. Let's be calm. Let's just be honest. Oof. Also, this is not the first time we've seen Shea look bad in the postseason run. So, even in the championship where they run, he really didn't perform well against great defenses. The Lakers are not a great defense. Play bad against them. But that was co-star. Yes, I do want to give him benefit of the doubt. If he had his co-star, he'd probably be better. But, that didn't look good. Him not playing well against the Nuggets last year in the postseason run, yeah, that didn't look good either. The fact that, a lot of stuff for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander optics, not looking good, brother. Being around Drake and having a lot of those Canadian ties, I'm just saying, if the NBA needed a villain and they wanted to continue this continue in a very 2018-ish way, LeBron-ish, Kevin Durant type shit, you got it. This is the way you do it. I don't know who your step's going to be, but hey, maybe it's Ant. That's marketing things. Let's talk about the actual X's and O's. The moments I've already talked about. The Dylan Harper jersey draft. And also another thing. The hard fouls that they have been giving to Stephon Castle, they were hard playoff fouls. I will admit. But the optics don't look good. They already didn't look good. They didn't get better when they kept doing it. Making it a point of emphasis. Also, the style of basketball that the Thunder play, the fouls and the fact that they flop and fall the fuck all the time. These grown-ass men with amazing balance and stuff, that didn't look good. Didn't look real ethical. And by the way, a lot of people have been saying that Wemby was taking a lot of free throws throughout the series. Let me clue you in on something. Wemby's game merits free throws because there is no other way to stop him if he's being aggressive and gets the ball. So what exactly did that mean? And also, he doesn't fall because of that. He falls because there's genuinely force lifting him and moving him off balance. Shai has to exaggerate his calls. He literally doesn't. His frame alone, in his taller, much lankier frame, even Shai really, makes the contact much more obvious. Shai has used that to his advantage to play through contact as well. And he also played through contact way less this season. He just did. He knew he was getting those calls more, and he played through contact less. I think the reason we saw Shai looks really good in the finals last year, he was playing through the contact. Yes, he was exaggerating calls, but he was also trying to play through the contact. He didn't do as much this series. Honestly, he just looked tired at moments. Gassed. He just looked like he didn't have the energy for it anymore. And the nonchalantness didn't help. I feel like this video has been really me just attacking the Thunder as a basketball organization, but it's really, I don't want to do that. I really want to highlight the Spurs. I don't know if I'm going about this right way of doing this. The Spurs are the Thunder are such a great team that it literally, me talking about the Spurs, I'm going to have to talk negative about them because of how positive the Spurs were to even win this series, and it was a very close series that came down to the wire. The Cornet block, that could not have come at a more crucial moment. I don't know how I'm 18 minutes into the video talking about that now. They were on a run closing the game up. They could have, if Hartenstein got that dunk off, they get it into 6. That moment immediately flashback. I know we were saying that that 3 from Wemby gave us very Steph Curry vibes. That block from Luke Cornet gave me LeBron vibes. I know you're saying to yourself, that's blasphemous. It's a literal GOAT of all, greatest player of all time. I know. When it came, chase down block, very important, moving the thing. Team that we would later on to view as a dynasty, and a team that also had some injuries, crucially had some injuries in that final series. And also probably should have had some suspensions as well. I'm sorry. Some of the fucking hard fouls that they were given, they were just fucking egregious, man. We were protecting the whole protecting a flyer. They protected the jump shooter a lot in this series. That Shai De'Aaron Fox call, I think we all know what I'm talking about. That was yeah, I get it. You by the rules, okay, call that, fine. The fact that a lot of the times where they were taking Stephon Castle out of the air, that none of those were flagrant. None of them wanted you to like review them and be like, hey man, you can't do that. That's not okay. I think they need to look into those and to like really crack down on those. Because the clear path foul, I know, I get it, clear path foul. You want the guys to be able to make a play on the ball. They're risky. They're risky plays. They put a lot of guys in danger. I don't really like those hard fouls. I understand what the defender wants to take them. I feel like if the defender is going to be able to take a hard foul, and they need to be in front of them. They need to be in front of them. They can't keep doing that. I think that's something that might need to be taken out of the game. I know older fans are going to be like, that's just a part of the game. That might need to be removed. I'm not going to lie. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it regardless of what's in it. By the way, the Devin Vassell not dribbling out the clock, very emotional moment. Not very sportsmanlike. Punctuation onto the thing. I know everyone was being very emotional at that point, and I get it. I refuse to blame them for being emotional. It was a very emotional moment. It was really cathartic. Not the thing that you would normally typically see from just teams in general. They really don't like each other. I think it was another thing we had talked about in the beginning of the series. Literally, we were like, hey, dude, if Wemby's gonna do this, I need Chet to show up and be like there and be active and be vocal and try and meet some of that intensity in them. He didn't. They need to be more chalant. They need to fix that. That needs to be fixed. The fire and stuff and the passion that we saw from the Spurs helped them win this series. As close as this series was, and I know people want to say, if Jalen Williams was yes, please. Please tell me how Jalen Williams, a player that was who's a really good slasher, would help this team a lot more by funneling him into the rim, and also the fact that he looked very afraid of Wemby in moments where they actually matched up, and the fact that he's talked about how hard it is to score on Wemby in their series, and the fact that Wemby probably would have just played more minutes in this series with Jalen Williams was playing. Please tell me how that is a good thing, and how Luke Cornett being on the floor less would have been a bad thing. Yes, Wemby probably would have been more foul trouble often. I'll give you that. Every single game. You think Wemby wouldn't be able to just stop fouling and not be as aggressive on the defensive end and still be effective? I don't know, Doug. I don't know. I don't think Jalen Williams' play style is the thing that would have separated this series, really. Maybe I'm crazy for that. This video is so rambly. It's more rambly than literally any of my other videos. Did I even talk about how the next matchups? I think I've talked about it before at this point. But like multiple videos at this point. I don't care. Jalen Brunson Castle matchup. Cool. Great. They're going to want him off of him as much as possible, and they're going to want to get the much more unexperienced Dylan Harper in that moment. And Brunson is going to make a lot of veteran moves on him in this series, and I think Dylan Harper's energy is the most important thing. How he attacks in this matchup with energy is going to matter. Fox will also be on the floor, but I think Fox and Harper have a very different approach to the game. Fox is going to have to do it with veteran moves and craftiness. Harper's going to be able to do it more with energy, okay? That's that. Wemby, Cat. These are the other two stars in the game. Obviously, I don't know if you know about Wemby and Carl. Who am I kidding? It's really tricky because I didn't pay attention as much as I probably should have to Knicks Spurs throughout the regular season. Obviously, they had a very pivotal game for the Cup. I don't think that's enough, like, really to look. I'll look into the footage of that to really have a more solid opinion on it. Right now, I'm thinking in my head, Cat gets a lot of offensive fouls, really dumb offensive fouls, and Wemby's going to get the benefit of the doubt, being he's the unanimous defensive player of the year for a reason. He's Wemby. He's going to get a lot of benefit of the doubt. What can Cat do to alter how Wemby is? I think Cat's going to have to play more on the perimeter. That's something I haven't been seeing from him. The shooting, he's going to have to shoot a lot more from the perimeter to open it up for guys like Mikal Bridges and to cut. And I don't know if that'll be perfect. I also don't think that the passing and playmaking that we've seen from him as central offensive hub really will work as well with Wemby on the court. And also, Cornette and Mitchell Robinson is pretty much a wash, in my opinion. Mitchell Robinson, because he brings more defensive intensity and offensive rebounding with him, which was a problem for the Spurs throughout minutes when Wemby was not on the court. I will give them that, and they did rebound more as a committee. But like, here's the thing. I think this is a wash in the fact that Cornette can actually just finish plays more, and the fact that Brunson is probably going to be more exhausted than he's ever been in his life. Where it's really going to come down to Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. And what do I think about? And here's the matchups that they're going to be playing. I think Mikal is going to get Julian Champagny. I'm not really worried about that for Mikal Bridges, to be quite honest. Champagny just needs to shoot the ball. Champagny just needs to shoot the ball at a 45% clip. Like, genuinely. On his open threes, I need 45%. It's that simple. I need 45% from you. I need at least 35% overall. You get a lot of wide open threes. I need you to hit them. Those are going to help a lot if you want to win away the series. And for them, they need to limit his threes. They need to limit his touches. They need to limit his playmaking abilities. They need to make it worse. I don't know. The slashing, I think the slashing is just going to be a problem because Cat is not a defensive anchor. And also, we can play the foul game with Mitchell Robinson and completely throw them out of offense. And the only thing they can do in that promotion, in that moment, because Mitchell Robinson only gets minutes when Karl-Anthony Towns is in foul trouble, which is a very common thing for this team. That's the problem with this. If Cat is in foul trouble, they're putting Mitchell in the game. And if Mitchell is in the game, Mitchell Robinson is in the game, you foul him to slow down that offense to a grinding halt. And the Spurs have plenty of people they can throw fouls onto him. Vassell can pick up a couple of fouls on Mitchell Robinson. That's fine. Champagny can pick up a couple of fouls on Mitchell Robinson. Fucking Champagny was in foul trouble like the entirety of this series guarding Shea. I don't think that. I don't think Brunson puts as much pressure as a free throw shooter on this team as well. Brunson is a great slasher too. Well, not really a great slasher. He's a capable one, capable of finishing at the rim certainly, but Brunson lives off of tough shots. There are gonna be a lot of tough shots in this series, but the clip that I think they're gonna have to make them at is gonna be just really hard for them to win the series. I know this is very disorganized video. It's a Knicks prediction video. It's a Spurs talking about Game 6 and 7. It's a Wemby and the Thunder and the Spurs and all that. It's weird. Bear with me. Yeah, I just don't know how that's gonna work out really for them realistically, X's and O's wise. I think that it's gonna be tough. Mike is a very good offensive coach, so that'll be helpful. The defensive questions has been something we've been worried about this entire postseason run, and let me just say this: if they were having problems with Embiid, who I will say this, Embiid is probably more physical than Wemby. Yes, more physical than Wemby. Yes, that was an injured Embiid. I think a Wemby who is healthy is going to be more physical than that. If they struggle with Embiid, that's going to be a problem. And also the slashing that we saw from Tyrese Maxey was not as much as we've seen before. They're going to have much more active guards in that. That's going to be a problem. And the guards that are more defensively active than a James Harden, this is something that the Knicks have not seen this entire postseason run. They have seen a lot of small guards. San Antonio does not have small guards. They have very sizable guards. Their smallest one is Fox, and he's like 6'3", but he's still pretty athletic, even after the ankle rolling injury. They're not going to be able to just attack mismatches like James Harden the entire time, because Donovan Mitchell is also not a capable enough defender for this team. That's not a thing that they're going to be facing. That's not something they're going to see. They weren't able to do that as much with Tyrese Maxey, right? That's not something you're going to see. Also, if I know Paul George is a very savvy veteran, and he had a pretty good playoff run this year. I think Devin Vassell can give them the same stuff we saw from that. If I'm the Spurs, I'm looking for Devin Vassell to be similar to what Paul George gave that team. Maybe not as much on the same volume that Paul George was giving to them, but actually probably, because Paul did start to shy away at the later parts of the game. I think that might actually be the amount of production you need to see from Devin Vassell for this to work. I'm talking about the Spurs win condition. I need to talk about the Knicks win condition because I do need to honor the fact that they're in the finals. They're the finals team for a reason. What can they do to win this series? Besides just Jalen Brunson making a lot of difficult shots. Hart's going to need to shoot better from three. It was inconsistent, and that was something Cleveland was willing to live with just because of the analytics. I think the Spurs will be able to actually contest and go out and run out to contest him more. So that'll be something to look forward to. Josh Hart's offensive rebounding will be very crucial for the series. I think the Spurs have to limit that, but I think that the energy Josh Hart can give them can wear some of the guys down. What do they have off the bench that's really worthwhile talking about? Mike Brown's is just throwing so many, like, I don't think Jose is going to be unplayable this series. If Stephon Castle's on the court, Jose is going to be unplayable. Just can't do that. Deuce McBride. I don't know if he has enough faith in him, and especially after coming off of injuries and stuff like. I just don't know if Mike will play him that much. It'll be interesting to see if he does, but I think if Deuce versus Dylan Harper, is that the matchup you want? Probably not. I think Dylan will fry him in the slashing department, and he's also just too small to be on the court with Wemby. I think that's a problem. I will say this, the Spurs don't have a power forward. If Cat ever gets matched up onto like Vassell, who is their power forward at starting position, they're probably gonna have to have Cornet off the bench, and that's just not how the Spurs like to play their team. Cornet will probably guard Cat a lot more unless the Cat is operating more on the perimeter, which that could happen. If they can operate on the perimeter well enough, it'll work out for them. I think they've also just been a hotter shooting team. That's something to take into account. They're also fresher off the series and stuff like that, but they do have a lot of vets on the team. I think the Spurs' youth could help them as far as that, and them being in rhythm could help more. But the Knicks are rested, so that's something to take into account for the series too. This is a longer video than I expected. Man, I don't know what the thumbnail is going to be. There's so many good moments from last night that I want to like highlight and put in the video. Not in the video, in the thumbnail. I don't know, really. And I also have to put OKC in the thumbnail as well. So there's that. We're 31 minutes in, and you already know what I'm doing at this point. Like, comment, subscribe. If you liked this video, if you wanted to see more direction from me, if you wanted to see something different from this, tell me what you wanted to see, how you wanted me to do it. Obviously, if you wanted me to do a Game 6 video, hey man, you should have watched the last video. No one watched that one at all. The Game 5 video was not well received. Maybe it's because I went away from the thumbnail style that I have been doing for a while. But I couldn't find moments from Game 5 that really looked good, in my opinion. So there's that. Yeah, we'll have a lot more photos for that. Yep. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This is Basketball Soup signing out. I will never do that again.